An ordinary shift for a police officer.
It started out as nothing.
It was innocuous. It was a little crime.
Can quickly take an extraordinary turn.
A simple traffic stop went stratospheric within 2 minutes.
Speed is 70 miles an hour.
A routine case.
You can start off with something, and it can turn into something completely different.
Can suddenly spiral into a serious incident.
Then it switched. He locked the door. She knew that something was very, very wrong here.
Stand by, I think we're going to have a decamp. One got out with a baseball bat. There's a ton of campus in the car.
They were literally on a rampage.
Sometimes the most minor crimes
I was looking for a stolen quad bike, found a lot more.
can crack major cases.
We were now possibly looking at a serial killer.
Today on Big Little Crimes, one man's hunch escalates into a terrifying plot to commit armed robbery.
As far as I was concerned, he'd shot in the past. He was going to shoot my mate. I wasn't going to be the next one.
A missing bank card uncovers a web of lies.
There was no way that we thought that this was going to snowball into an investigation of this magnitude.
But first, is a common traffic offence about to expose one of the biggest criminals on the Isle of Wight. Acting Detective Sergeant Ian Robertson has been based on the Isle of Wight for the last 21 years.
On the mainland, you've got lots of teams. We have one CID office, and so you have lots of skills and you deal with all and any type of crime.
And today's job is going to put Ian's detective skills to the ultimate test. It's Friday night, and two police constables are patrolling the island's roads.
And a call came in from a member of the public saying that they thought a drink driver was driving at speed. We get lots of calls like this. It's quite a regular occurrence. Police officers, just routine, drink driver, so the officer wouldn't have thought too much about it.
They head to the area the car was last seen. And it's not long before they spot the vehicle speeding past.
When the officers first saw the car, it was going the opposite direction to them, but it was going faster than 30. So the officers just turned round, put his blue light on, and the Mini did slow slightly, but then it accelerated.
Who's driving the car? And why are they so desperate to get away from the police?
He was driving erratically. There were other car users on the road, and they were having to take avoiding action. A couple of cars had to stop, pull across the side of the road just to avoid being hit. This man was dangerous.
The driver is putting the lives of innocent people at risk as he weaves in and out of quiet residential roads.
The speed then got up to 60 miles an hour, and the officers decided that it was too fast to safely pursue, so they started slowing down themselves and pulling back, and they didn't want an innocent member of the public getting hurt. The car they were pursuing went round a corner. They'd lost sight of it just for a second, and by the time the officers turned round the corner, they found the Mini had crashed into a parked car. The two occupants of the Mini, the suspect and his passenger, were still sat in the car, slightly dazed. Luckily, nobody was injured. Someone could have been killed by that man driving.
The officers race to the car to arrest the two men inside, and they're shocked by what they find.
There's a great big kitchen knife in the driver's footwell, which is not normal. And then there's a lump hammer next to it, and then there's some lock knives, and these are the knives which are very small. They can fit in the palm of your hand, but then you press a button, open up the blade, it locks in place, and they're nasty, really sharp 3 or 4 inch blades. It's starting to look like something at this job. It's not just a drink driver or a drug driver. Why are they tooled up? Why have they got weapons on them?
What started out as a traffic offence has turned into something much more serious.
The driver of the car, when the officers found the kitchen knife, he said, yeah, that's my baby. He loves the knife. Why is he loving a knife? And therefore, it's not a kitchen utensil, it's a weapon.
Why are the men carrying weapons? The police meticulously search every inch of the car.
The officers see a bag of pills on the car. It was about 30 pills, and your suspicions start thinking, okay, so have I got a drug driver here? Is he under the influence of drugs? Is he a drug dealer? Is he just a drug user? But why has he got weapons? What's all this about?
This started as a common call for speeding. Could the officers have unwittingly uncovered a major crime? They continue searching and find around £100 in cash, plus another bag of pills. And that's not all.
We found a couple of mobile phones, and then we found a further 2 mobile phones, and these are the small mobile phones. They're not much bigger than your thumb. They're ridiculously small.
These tiny phones are often used in prison because they're easy to conceal. The officers take a closer look at the pills, but they don't know what they are. And with just 30 of them in the bags, there aren't enough to prove that the men are dealing drugs.
The only offence proven at that point is that he drove a car, failed to stop for police officers, and crashed. So you've got traffic offences there.
The officers' instincts tell them something much bigger is at play, but they need some concrete evidence. They test the driver for drugs in his system.
It came up as positive. He said, I'm a cocaine user and I last had some this morning. So it's still in his bloodstream.
The 2 men are immediately taken into custody. A blood test confirms the driver had got behind the wheel after taking Class A drugs. The number of crimes is quickly racking up. The team search the men's houses for more evidence. Nothing's found where the passenger lives, and when they search the driver's home, they hit another brick wall.
More pills are found, a little bit more cash, but again, under £100.
But it's still not enough to prove any involvement in drug dealing. The men stay in the cells overnight, and at 8 a.m., Ian starts his shift. His instincts match those of the other officers. He knows something more sinister is at play.
Like the old days, like you say in the film, they tap their nose or they rub their stomach. I knew that in front of me I had a drug dealer, and it's now I'm going to prove that you are a drug dealer, not just a drug user. It's the drug dealers that make the money. It's the drug dealers that will spread the pain and suffering. I want to take drug dealers off the street.
Ian interviews the suspects separately. The passenger blames everything on his friend, so Ian needs the driver to talk.
The suspect didn't want to talk to start with, but he couldn't help himself. He'd answer no comment and then give me an answer. Only the night before, he'd reported a home invasion where a known burglar and very violent person had broken into his house to steal money from him. He admitted that he had the weapons for his own self-defense, which is not a lawful excuse. You can't then carry a great big kitchen knife just to protect yourself. So he was willing to stab somebody if he was stopped, which is the most dangerous sort of person, because that's their attitude. He's not scared about stabbing somebody. And then we talked about drugs. He said they were Valiums and that he took them. He wasn't prescribed them, so he's buying them from people.
The suspect has admitted to carrying dangerous weapons and taking illegal drugs, but is adamant he's not dealing them.
When asked why he didn't stop for the police initially, he said because the police think I'm a drug dealer, so it peed me off. And that shows the character of the man. He didn't care that he was under the influence of cocaine driving that vehicle. He was just peed off with the police, and therefore he felt justified. He was above the law. He was quite happy to use drugs. He was quite happy to have weapons. He didn't care.
Ian's now got more than enough evidence to charge the driver with dangerous driving, being in possession of offensive weapons, and driving under the influence. But he's still convinced there's more to this than meets the eye. So he makes the bold decision not to charge him.
He wouldn't have gone behind bars for the smaller offences, I knew that. You run the risk of the smaller crimes being forgotten about.
Ian's almost certain that the driver is a drug dealer, but he's got no evidence to prove it. He decides to release the men on bail, knowing that he still has one final weapon in his arsenal.
We had the phones. They were our key to this investigation. Phones hold so much information now, and they don't delete things. Everything is still there within the phone for us to retrieve.
But with limited resources, it's not going to be an easy task.
Mobile phone evidence is huge in policing nowadays, and you're probably talking 200-300 phones in a queue at any one time to be examined through the whole force. So it goes in a file, goes on my shelf with my other crimes, and periodically, every couple of weeks, I'll just check that I haven't missed anything coming back from the phone intelligence unit.
It's going to be a long, anxious wait for Ian and his team. Will his instinct be proven right, or has he wasted a lot of time and money? And later, the investigation puts Ian's years of experience to the ultimate test.
This was a unique crime for me. I didn't have any drugs to show the jury other than 30 pills.
In our next case today, the security guard's suspicions lead police right into the middle of a terrifying armed robbery. Retired Detective Constable Phil Judge was a fresh-faced 18-year-old lad when he joined the Metropolitan Police.
I grew up just to the north of Notting Hill, which for people who've seen the film Notting Hill, they seem to think that it's rather nice, but you didn't have to scratch the surface much to find the real area. There are some bad people out there, but there are some good people trying to go after them, and I wouldn't be one of those.
And when, at just 28, he earned a job in the highly regarded flying squad, it was a career-defining moment. Before the flying squad began, police officers had to stay in their local areas.
In 1919, a guy called Fred Wensley, who was a detective chief inspector, pulled together 12 detectives and gave them the remit to go anywhere, do anything, but to get results, which they did.
Nowadays, there are over 100 officers in the flying squad, so called because they can be sent anywhere in the country to deal with the most dangerous of criminals. But the nature of the job means it's rarely a smooth ride.
Bad days when things go horribly wrong. I've been present on armed ambushes where people have got hurt, people have been killed.
Hundreds of reports of unusual activity reach Phil's desk every single week, so he has to rely on his inbuilt sixth sense to focus on only the most concerning. And 25 years ago, little did Phil know that he was about to face one of the most challenging cases of his career. Some new information has landed on his desk from a cash transit driver delivering money to banks.
He saw a guy who he thought was watching him, and he reported it to us through his security personnel.
Phil has limited resources and a huge caseload. He needs to make a difficult decision. Is it worth looking into, or a waste of precious time and resources?
You didn't go running in with every single thing that you had. You had to really feel that this was right. And experience, the little hair sticking up on the back of your neck, sixth sense, whatever it might be. Something about this one told me this is right. So we deployed a very limited surveillance team the following week. It was the same guard on the same day, on the same round, making the same deliveries. We tucked ourselves away at strategic positions along the length of the road where there were all of the main high street banks. The cash in transit van had to service all of them. The guy on the van didn't know we were there. We hadn't told him. There was a chap who turned up, and whilst the guard was making a delivery, he appeared to be watching the van. So we let him watch the van, effectively looking very closely at what the guard was doing. And then we let him go. because he hadn't done anything.
A crime hasn't been committed, but surveillance has backed up the security guard's suspicions.
The following week, we were going to go back and do the same thing again, except this time we'd be a hell of a lot better prepared.
The flying squad have got 1 week to put together a team of the highest caliber, including 2 photographers to capture anything that happens.
The following week, we enhanced our operations. We were armed and we were ready to deal with any eventuality that might arise. The van arrived, and so did 2 other guys. The person we'd seen the week before, this is the chap with the beard, and another guy. One of them went and stood in a bookmaker's doorway just around the corner from the entrance to Barclays Bank, whilst his friend went and stood in a phone box, looking directly at the entrance to the Barclays Bank, where the guard duly turned up, parked up, and started making his delivery. The chap was signalling to the bloke in the phone box using a newspaper. The bloke in the phone box was signalling to him.
It's not clear what's going on, but with close eyes on both men, one of the team realizes something very worrying.
We'd dealt with both before, back in the late 80s. One was a guy called William Harding. He was the man with the beard. And the person signalling was a guy called David Adams. Those 2 had committed a series of robberies and had been caught by the flying squad. So they'd actually shot a guard in the foot. So we not only knew that we were game on, but we knew these were people who would shoot and had shot in the past. These 2 were back at it.
A cash delivery driver filing a minor report that someone might be watching him has turned into something much bigger. Phil and the undercover team are on high alert. One wrong move and lives could be at risk. All eyes are on Harding.
He's got a newspaper and he's on the phone. But if you watch him as we have, he isn't actually talking to anyone on the phone. It's just a prop. He's looking across the road at a phone box, and in the phone box is David Adams. What Adams is doing is giving him instructions as to when to move, and when he moves, and as you can see here, off he goes. No, hasn't quite got it right. Gets him sent back again, and he'll wait. They're as patient as we are when you get to this level.
He walks towards the security guard, who's unloading large amounts of cash from the van. But he carries on walking. What's going on?
This will be a dummy run. They're getting their timing right for an assault on that guard at some point in the future. They found a location they like, they're comfortable with, they're testing it. Can we do it this way? They've just worked out that they can. So from our perspective, what we've seen tells us they're plotting to rob that security guard at that venue. Practice makes perfect, and that's what these 2 guys were doing. They were practicing.
We'll be back to join Phil and the flying squad 1 week later. Is it D-Day?
You've got one chance, and you've got to make it count.
Next, the small matter of a missing bank card exposes a large-scale and audacious fraud. Detective Sergeant Liam Robertson has received a routine call.
The report was that the gentleman in question had lost his bank card while out in Darlington Town Centre celebrating a night out.
The bank card could have been stolen. But shortly after losing it, the man's contacted on social media by a stranger who claims to have found his card.
The person who'd messaged him had shown him screenshots of his bank card, and he quite willingly gave over his home address to the person who'd contacted him online, on the understanding that these bank cards were going to be returned to his home address.
But the card is never returned. Because there's only a few pounds in the account, it's soon forgotten about, until something strange happens.
3 months after the bank cards had gone missing, the member of the public had received some emails from a well-known bookmakers. They referred to a complaint and a request for a refund for transactions.
The man hasn't requested any refunds, so immediately calls his bank.
It was only when he contacted the bank that he realised that he couldn't get through the security systems in place for telephone banking, and it quickly became clear to him that the account had been taken over and somebody had subverted his own access to his own bank account.
The man has been locked out of his own account. The registered address and phone number have also been changed. Is it a bank failure, or is something more sinister at play? The man is eventually able to change the details back, but the next day, there's another twist in this increasingly baffling case.
Out of the blue, he was then contacted again by the same person who had informed him that he'd found the bank cards 3 months prior. The tone of the messages on this occasion was very, very different to the helpful and friendly tone that was used during the messaging, and became very threatening in nature.
The sinister messages order the man to change the details back to those who've hijacked it.
He then received another message telling him that he had 24 hours to take this action, otherwise his home address would come alive. We're not entirely sure at this point what that threat means. It could be a threat to property, but it could be a threat against his own person or potentially the family that he lives with.
The person making the threats has got the man's home address, and worryingly, he's suggesting he might target his family. The small crime of stealing a bank card has quickly spiraled into extortion. Liam needs to find out who's making the threats, and fast. The team start with a forensic examination of the victim's bank account, which he hasn't used for months.
What was more startling was the fact that we were then told that there was a significant amount of money over that 3-month period had been deposited into the account. £17,000 in total had been placed into the victim's account while it was outside of his control, and almost all of that money had then left the account shortly thereafter.
It's clear something criminal is going on. The scale of the offence is growing by the day. Liam desperately needs to identify the person behind the transactions.
The bank statements that the victim was able to give us showed some transactions that had taken place in here, Darlington Town Centre. What we knew about these transactions is that there would be some key locations here where we would be able to get some CCTV footage that would show us hopefully some images of our suspect.
The team get their hands on the tapes.
The CCTV footage showed the same suspect conducting the transactions on all 3 occasions. In particular, on the first occasion, it showed him buy a coat from a sports shop. That coat was subsequently worn on the other transactions.
The man is already known to police. He's a prolific burglar and fraudster. And they can link him to the new address that was on the victim's bank account. But before they make an arrest, they want to know the true scale of this crime. They look into the £17,000 in the victim's bank account.
It was highlighted that the majority of them had a reference title of DWP. DWP stood out for me straight away as being the initials of the Department of Work and Pensions. The consistent monthly payments going in for a fixed amount would suggest benefits claims going into the account on a regular basis.
Could this be a large-scale benefit fraud? Liam and his team contact the Department for Work and Pensions.
We've managed to confirm with money from their sources were being deposited into the account in the name of our victim. They've said that the money going into the account was from different credit claims.
investigation is spiraling into something much bigger than Liam and his team first anticipated. It's gone from suspected theft to extortion, and now it's becoming a tangled web of benefit fraud.
We were potentially dealing here with benefits claims of potentially up to 25, 26 different people that were linked to this investigation.
The suspect can be linked to multiple other bank accounts, where it looks like he's doing the exact same thing, hijacking the accounts, then falsely claiming benefits. He's made a massive £39,000 through the fraud. They know he's the one using the accounts, but Liam needs to prove that he's the one claiming the benefits. They raid 2 houses linked to the suspect.
The suspect was found at one of the addresses and was taken into custody for questioning, while officers then conducted a search of both addresses. The search of those addresses obtained a quantity of evidence, some handwritten letters and typed letters to the Department of Work and Pensions, trying to divert funds into one of the accounts linked to the investigation. This was key evidence in the investigation because it showed that the suspect was directly responsible for the diversion of universal credit money into an account rather than just the recipient of it.
It's the proof Liam needs. The suspect claims that he knows the victim and was given permission to use the account. But Liam and the team know they've got their man. He's charged with benefit fraud and pleads guilty in court.
The suspect was ultimately convicted of an offence of obtaining benefits by fraud. He was sentenced to 25 months, which is a fantastic result for us, for the team, and for all the work that was involved.
And Liam's still in disbelief at how quickly this innocuous incident turned into such a callous crime.
There was no way at the beginning of this investigation that we thought that the simple loss of the victim's bank card was in any way going to snowball into a complex and sophisticated investigation of this magnitude.
We're heading back to the Isle of Wight now, where an investigation into a speeding driver has taken a dramatic turn. Acting Detective Sergeant Ian Robertson is in the middle of a major investigation. A dangerous driving offence has escalated dramatically, and Ian thinks he could be about to uncover one of the island's biggest drug dealers. He knows that a conviction will have a huge impact on the community.
It's crime that pays for the users to buy their drugs. So by taking out the drug dealer, we hopefully stop further crimes, but also further deaths, because nobody knows what they're going to put inside them. Every time they inject themselves, every time they snort something, it could kill them, and it does.
Ian's determined to get enough evidence to charge the man with drug dealing. But so far, he's going solely off instinct. But then, a breakthrough. The report is in from the phone analyst, and they've got a hit from the mobile phone belonging to the driver.
The phone analyst came back. He gives you a starter for 10 and said there's quite a lot of information on there to do with drug dealing.
It's the news Ian has been hoping for.
There's lots and lots of locations on the phone that he has found messages and put them on a spreadsheet for me. He can't pick and choose. He can't just say, these are the bad messages, ignore everything else. He has to give me everything. So then it's my job to have a look at everything.
Ian's now got the painstaking task of going through the tens of thousands of messages to try to build his case. With the help of a specialist drugs officer, he trawls through the data.
Immediately, it was so clear just what level of drug dealer he was. He was a big-time drug dealer on the Isle of Wight. And he states, I know, mate, I know, I pick this 40k up, so £40,000. You up for coming to get a kilo of coke with me? No joke. And then another one, I have the most pokey coke at the moment. Best on the island, everyone buying it off me, laughing out loud. And then his mate comes back and says, yeah, I might have to message you about buying some. And then he goes on to say, yeah, mate, £50 for 0.5 of a gram. But trust me, mate, I weighed bang on and I made 2k a week, laugh out loud. So he's showing just how much he is selling. And he was making a lot of money. He was buying kilos at a time. He was offering texts out to his clients, trying to get more people to buy drugs off him, and he was telling them just how good it was.
The messages show the suspect has made a massive £74,000 profit in just 1 year from dealing drugs on the Isle of Wight. But Ian's worried the evidence might not be enough to convince the jury.
We don't take many jobs to the Crown Prosecution Service without the hard evidence, the actual physical bag of white powder, the wedges of £10,000 cash underneath the mattress. I've had all those jobs. They're obvious to a jury. You know, look at this big bag of white powder. I caught Joe Bloggs with this, therefore he must be guilty, and the jury, yeah, understand that. Whereas I'm taking a job here with everything from a mobile phone. This was a unique crime for me. I didn't have any drugs to show the jury other than 30 pills.
The nerve-wracking first day of the trial has arrived, and the suspect pleads not guilty.
He chose to give evidence in court. He wanted to explain how innocent he was. And throughout the trial, he tried to convince the jury that whilst he was a cocaine user, he was a successful builder, but he worked on cash. Therefore, the money that he was talking about in these text messages was money that he had spent on building materials. A lot of money over a 3-month period for him to do that.
But the jury can see straight through his lies.
The suspect was convicted of dangerous driving, possession of bladed article, possession of a Class C drug with intent to supply, and concerning the supply of Class A drugs. He received a total of 8 years imprisonment for those offences.
And that's not all.
Because we could prove on his phone over 74 grand's worth of supply, we then put an order against him for life that he will have to pay back £74,000. So if he inherits money, if he wins the lotto, like we've had people win money on the racehorses, there's a marker against him.
The passenger in the original car chase is convicted of possession of an offensive weapon and receives a 7-month suspended sentence. After months of painstaking work, it's a fantastic result for Ian and the team.
You know, it's unusual for me to have a conviction for drugs where there is no drugs. This is one of the jobs that you remember.
And a reminder that even on a small island, a routine investigation can quickly escalate to reveal a dangerous criminal.
This crime started off as a small drug driving offence, but through a lot of hard work, lots of hours put in by several people, we have convicted a serious drug dealer and put him behind bars.
That last case took months to solve. But now we're returning to Hertfordshire to continue a very fast-paced investigation. Detective Constable Phil Judge and the flying squad are investigating something that started with a small nugget of information, but is quickly spiraling.
You're going up against the best there is in the criminal fraternity. So you've got to bring your A game to that match. And you play the same game as they do. They're out there planning, scheming, plotting, and when you get wind of what they're up to, you're doing exactly the same. But your plans, your schemes, your plots have got to be a damn sight better than theirs have.
2 weeks ago, the driver of a cash transit van thought someone might be watching him. And now Phil and the team think they've uncovered a terrifying plot to commit an armed robbery. The suspects, David Adams and Billy Harding, are notorious criminals who've served time for armed robbery before. But during this investigation, they haven't actually committed a crime. They've only carried out what Phil thinks is a trial run. This time, Phil wants to stop them before they get a chance to strike again.
The trouble with arresting people is you actually need to have some evidence. And what had we seen? 2 former armed robbers. They'd walked past the van, but there's no evidence there of any offence being committed. At the time, we couldn't do anything.
Phil needs to catch them in the act, on camera. But it's a dangerous tactic. Lives are at risk.
The pressure is always there, and the higher the stakes that are being played, the more ruthless individuals you are going up against, then the better prepared you need to be.
And the stakes are very high. Phil suspects at least one of the men could also be responsible for another armed robbery on a cash transit van a month earlier.
People have been put at risk. We know that someone had been shot before.
The team know the delivery driver does the same round at the same time every week. So, 7 days after the trial run, the team assemble again. Phil has only got one chance to get this right. Are the crooks preparing to strike today?
As soon as we realised it was Harding and Adams, we knew we had to be really, really good. We had to be on top of our game, because these guys would be looking for us. They'd be looking for anything that would spook them. So we tucked our personnel away so that these people could go up and down that road if they wanted to, as many times as they liked. They could look here, there and everywhere. They wouldn't see us. You only get one chance at a pavement ambush with people of this nature. You've got one chance and you've got to make it count.
The surveillance operation begins.
We sat and we watched and we waited. The bad guys turned up in their car and started going up and down Shenley Road. We hadn't seen this conduct before. They were obviously on fire that day. They were looking everywhere. We got photographs of them looking clearly to either side of the road. So there was only one thing they were doing, that was making sure that the area they were going to operate in was safe for them to do so.
All of the research suggests Harding and Adams are going to target the driver outside Barclays Bank. The team wait with bated breath.
And we've got the whole street covered with surveillance officers now. That's Mr. Adams. He's in the box. There's Billy Harding. But he's now got a hat, a heavy coat, and his beard isn't grey anymore. He's dyed it. Him and Adams deploy as they did the week before, but after a while they abort whatever they were going to do here, and they move. They move from the Barclays to the Lloyds.
It's a huge turn of events. The police ambush was set up for outside Barclays Bank. The undercover team need to change their plans, and fast.
Everybody's quite sparked up now. We still don't know we're going to go to work. Harding had the jiffy bag. He kept touching it, kept patting it, became very familiar with this thing in his pocket.
There's something that ratchets up the tension even more. Harding looks like he's carrying a gun.
We were able to say, without actually seeing inside it, he's armed, he's got a gun in his pocket. We couldn't really do anything at that point because he went into a charity shop immediately to the side of the Lloyds Bank. Adams crossed the road and took up a position outside an estate agent's shop. So they basically had the van when it turned up at Lloyds sandwiched between them. The guard got out, went to the back of his van. As he goes to the back of the van and gets his box out, Harding came out, took a handgun out of his jiffy bag and said something to the effect of, put it on the floor, which the guard duly did. Harding picked the box up, started jogging towards the alley. My colleagues and I, we had to get through the alleyway before he got into it.
Harding has just stolen £20,000 and he's still armed.
A detective constable went one-to-one with Adams, screaming and hollering at him. He turned, promptly surrendered. He was armed with a taser, an electric stun gun. Meanwhile, one of my colleagues confronted Harding, screaming armed police, pointing his revolver at Harding. Harding, rather than surrender or do anything sensible, raised his arm, the one that had the pistol still in his hand, and pointed it straight at the face of my colleague.
The list of offences is growing by the second. Phil and two armed officers need to get down the alley fast to help their colleague in a standoff with Harding.
We were going hell for leather for one goal and one goal only, and that was to make sure these two guys didn't leave the pavement outside the Lloyd's Bank. When we deployed, we went so fast the two gunmen overshot the alley, which meant that myself and my colleague with a baton were the first two to go down the alley. Should have been the guns, it wasn't, it was two unarmed guys. All I could actually see was Harding's arm coming up with a pistol in it. We knew that at least one of them would pull the trigger. Weaponry to them was second nature. I came out of the alley, and before Harding could do anything with the pistol he had, I used a police baton and detained him. I had no other alternative. You know, as far as I was concerned, he'd shot in the past. He'd shot a few months beforehand. He was going to shoot my mate. I wasn't going to be the next one. No one got hurt. It could have been so different. So there's a feeling of relief, and those are the days that you live for. Weeks and weeks of work and hours of preparation. It comes down to 20, 30 seconds. When it comes to the actual attack, the period of time between my leaving the back of the restaurant and striking Harding, matter of seconds, probably under 10.
Harding and Adams have been caught red-handed. It's time to face justice. But will these notorious criminals admit defeat?
Both guys pleaded not guilty. So these two guys who had basically been filmed and documented planning and then committed an armed robbery pleaded not guilty to having done so.
But the footage of them caught in the act means the pair are banged to rights. And that's not all. Phil and the team have also been able to link Harding to another armed robbery that happened a month earlier, when a security guard was shot in the foot.
Judge Sanders gave Billy Harding 9 separate life sentences and made a recommendation that he serve at least 15 years. David Adams received 4 life sentences with a recommendation that he serve 9 years.
It's another successful operation for the flying squad. But nobody could have guessed that such a tiny piece of information would lead to the team uncovering such a major series of crimes.
In any policing environment, sometimes you get little acorns. We got tossed a little acorn by the security guard, and this great big oak grew out of it. So it started small and just gained momentum and ended in the way it did, with a hell of a good result at the end of it.
Join us again on Big Little Crimes, when everyday policing
It was just another day in the office.
uncovers extraordinary crimes.
I knew she'd poisoned him. I just knew it. And somebody would have got away with murder.
And cracks major cases.
This started with a small piece of information and culminated in an international investigation.
The break is over. It's a new term at Waterloo Road. The new series starts tonight at 8 here on BBC One. On iPlayer, Martin Compston in a story of friendship. Mayflies. Press red to watch now on iPlayer.